Hey fam, as I said I would, I'm dropping a video on how we turn fractions into decimals, how fractions and decimals are on the place value chart, and let's get right into it. Let's jump right into this one. Okay, so this may be a little on the longer side. I'll try to make it as concise as possible, but sticky so that we can get it. So fractions and decimals are the same, and they are part of place values. And we see, especially tenths and hundreds in our day-to-day business, when we use pennies, dimes, and nickels, or we think about change, right? 100 cents is you need 100 pennies. Uh, the dimes would be like the tenths, because 10 dimes give you $1, 100 pennies give you $1. So the hundredths are like the pennies, and the dimes are like the tenths. All right. So how do we write this and express this in decimal form? For now, we're not going to use no holes, strictly decimal form. So we have a 10 strip right here. We have a 100 grid right here. We have fraction form right here. We have decimal form right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write in fraction form 2 tenths. Okay? I'm going to shade in 2 tenths right here. Shade in 2 tenths right here. Okay? Right? That's 2 tenths. Okay? 2 tenths also is equal to 20 hundredths, right? Because two of these shaded columns will be like shading two of these columns right here. Okay? And also, we know that because if I take 2 tenths, and again, I remember in my last video where I was talking about making equivalent fractions and how you have to decompose it, right? Or multiply it. And I multiply this by 10 over 10 or 10 tenths. I'm going to get 20 hundredths, all right? Now, how do I write 20 hundredths and 2 tenths as decimals? So we're going to put 0 because we have no holes. I'm going to put a line here to separate the two, right? Decimal point 2. That's the 2 tenths right there. Okay? 20 hundredths looks the same way. 0, decimal point, 2, 0. Right? They're the same even though they look kind of different. Why they're the same is, as you can see, we made them equivalent fractions here and here. We put the tenths in a 10 strip. We put the 20 hundredths in 100 grids, and they both take the same amount of space, right? 2 tenths is equal to 20 hundredths. They take the same amount of space, and then we put them in a place value chart. They both have no holes as of right now, but what they both do have is essentially 2 tenths. 20 hundredths has 2 tenths inside of it, and it has no leftover hundredths, no leftover hundredths, no leftover hundredths, and we know nothing here and 0 here are the same. But where kids usually get tripped up on and confused upon is when you want to write hundredths and tenths. So, right, so I showed this 2 tenths right here, right, and I showed you this because I want to show you how these two are the same. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you in fraction form 2 hundredths. All right. So remember when I said that uh, the tenths are the dimes and the hundredths are like the pennies? 20 pennies is equal to the same thing as 2 dimes. They're both 20 cents, right? But now 2 hundredths, this is how 2 hundredths look. See the difference? And now how I write it is different. This is 2 tenths, 2 hundredths. Notice I don't have a whole column shaded in. I just got 2 pieces shaded in. If I shaded in a whole column, like what I did with my 2 tenths, right, that'd be 1 tenth, right, or 10 hundredths. Another one, 20 hundredths or 2 tenths. But I only have 2 pieces shaded in. So I'll have 2 hundredths shaded in, 0 tenths. See that? The difference on how they look, right? 2/10, 200ths, right? So now in decimal form, if I put 200ths is 0.02. That is 200ths. In decimal form for the 2/10 is 0.0.0.2. All right. Now, if I wanted to work with the smaller one, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 pieces shaded in, right? So that's 0/10, because a full tenth will be all of this shaded in. Don't have that. I just have that 5 shaded in. So that's 5/100ths. And as a fraction, right? What as a fraction, you have 5/100ths. Also, what will help kids is with saying decimals, don't say 0.05. Because that really is not going to help them and make that connection. What we want to say is 500ths, right? As we get older, we say 0.05 because we understand that that is 500ths. We're trying to get the kids to understand that it's 500ths. Even here on this place value chart, 500ths. Also, I've noticed I'm getting new people subscribing and new followers who are outside of my school. So you may not have this resource. I'm sorry, apologize. But that's also why you want to push the kids to say 500ths. Why you want to push the kids to say 2/10. All right. Even if you don't have this resource from my school, you can pause the video and you can copy down this template right here. All right. Or you can leave a like and a comment and I can send you that template via email. Okay. So now we're going to drop another fraction that I'm going to model. How many did I shade in? I'm not using the tenths, I'm using the 100ths. I'm going to count 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900. Let's write that as a fraction. Put it over here so we can see that. 900ths. Now I got it as a fraction. I got it shaded in. Now let's put it in the place value chart. I have 0 ones, decimal point. Do I have a full strip shaded in? Do I have a full strip shaded in that matches this? No, I don't, right? So I have 0/10 and just 900ths. See that? 900ths. Okay? Now, this is where it gets a little sticky. But I want us to ground us in seeing things equal and equivalent. Now, I'm going to write this fraction 21 hundredths. Because I'm working with hundredths, this is 10 strips, I'm working with this grid right here, 21 hundredths. I'm going to need to shade in 21 of this. That's a full 10 pieces. That's a full 20 pieces. Now we need one more 21 hundredths. What do you notice about 21 hundredths? I noticed that this column right here is 10 hundredths. This column right here, you can see that is 20 hundredths. So these two shaded in pieces, 10 hundredths, 20 hundredths. Those two shaded pieces match the same two shaded pieces on the tenth side, right? So that means I have how many tenths? If this 10 hundredths is equal to 1/10, this 20 hundredths is equal to 2/10, which is also equal to the same thing right here, right? That means when I write this decimal, again, that's 0 decimal point, I want to write 21 hundredths, but I have to understand that I have 2/10 shaded in because this is 10 hundredths, which equals to 1/10. This is 20 hundredths, which is equal to 2/10. I have two shaded in hundredths, right? 2 shaded in tenths, and 1/100th. Okay? Now, we have just modeled as a decimal in our place value chart, decimal point 21 hundredths. So we're not going to say all the time decimal point 0, decimal point 20. We're not going to say that. We're going to actually say it out so we understand how it looks. So now we know how it looks as a decimal, as a fraction in the place value chart, and on our model. All right. So now let's put it all together. All right. I'm going to do decimal form, and I'm working with the hundredths because tenths are pretty easy to flush out. They're easy to flush out. Working with the hundreds because those can be our tricky numbers. All right. So I'm gonna do this one. I'm gonna say, 0.51. Can't say that. Again, we're working with the actual language. So let me put it in the place value chart exactly how I see it. 0 decimal point 5 1. How do I read that number? Oh, 51 hundredths. Now let's write that fraction. 51 hundredths. Now I wrote that fraction. I wrote it in the place value chart. I have the decimal. I wrote the fraction. Now I know I have 51 hundredths. I'm working with the hundredths grid right now. So now I need 5/10 shaded in, right? Again, we know that this is 1/10, which is also equal to 10 hundredths. So I need to shade in 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to shade in the 5 like so. I'm going to shade in those 5/10 or 50 hundredths. I'm going to shade in those 5/10 or 50 hundredths. I'm going to shade in those 5/10 or 50 hundredths, three times the charm. So now that's 50 hundredths. And then all I'm going to do is shade in one more. And now I have modeled 51 hundredths, wrote down the decimal, 51 hundredths, wrote down the fraction, 51 hundredths, wrote in my place value chart, 51 hundredths. I know I've been focusing on the hundredths. Let's do a few tenths too. All right. So now we're going to pivot to go into the tenths. All right. This is our tenths right here in the place value. We can essentially kind of use either grid because we know that this has more space than this, and we can decompose this to this. But we're going to work with the 10 strips, all right? Fraction form. I want to model 3/10, right? I come here, shade in 3. Shade in 3/10. Now I want to put it in my place value chart. All my place value charts, you can see I have tens, ones, and I have tenths. And on there, I write it like this: 0.1, um, denominator 10. So now the kids can match that denominator. Oh, 3/10. Oh, I put the 3 right here. And they know they put their decimal point, they put the 0. So now they have just used their place value chart to make it in a decimal form. So now we're not saying 0.3, we're saying 3/10. Use that academic language so we can understand better. All right. One more with the tenths. Again, temps are pretty much easy to do. I think I did with the fraction. Let's do a decimal. 0.8. Let's use academic language again. 0 decimal point 8. Oh, I need 8/10. I need 8/10. I'm going to shade in 8/10. I shaded in 8/10. Now I'm going to write the fraction. Oh, the computer just went off for me. There we go. We're back. Back in business. Standing on business. 8/10. So now I wrote it as my place value chart, modeled it, my fraction, and my decimal point. All right. Cool. Now, guess the computer is sending me a sign that, hey, Mr. Denver, yo, drop that challenge question for us. And here's that challenge question for us. Um, I wrote, I used my hundreds grid. I used my hundreds grid and I shaded 25 pieces in the 100. I shaded 25 pieces in the 100. What is that as a fraction? What is that as a decimal? Again, first 5 comments, you get something from Mr. Dennerin, a prize. We'll find out what the prize is. Will it be extra recess time? Will it be special lunch? We'll know. Thank you. Drop a like, comment, first 5 comments. What is the answer? I shaded in 25 pieces on my 100 grid. Write it as a fraction, write it as a decimal. And as you know, Mr. Dennerin, Math Master, I'm out.